Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's One Piece Treasure Cruise video, we are going to talk about the upcoming characters in One Piece Treasure Cruise Global and which of them are actually worth pulling before the sync of the two servers. Have in mind that some of these characters, even though they have been released in Japan, they might come to Global a bit after the sync, but we will definitely see a lot of them before the end of the year. Disclaimer, this is not a character analysis video, so I won't be going into extreme detail on what every character does, but I will be briefly talking about their abilities and will also have the link for the One Piece Treasure Cruise database in the description if you want to learn more information about a specific unit. Finally, I will give every individual batch a grade from either S, A or B, just so you can have a general idea on their worth and if you should be happy to pull them in the future or not. And of course, this grade will be representing the characters and their abilities, not the Sugo Fests they will be available in. Without further ado, let's begin with the first batch, the Summer or Festival Girls. Here we have two legends, the new Reiju and Vivi, two rare recruits, which of course come along Reiju and Vivi, Betty and Koala, and then we have three Treasure Map rare recruits that will be available in the Treasure Map Sugo Fest, Hina, Makino and Tasigi. Reiju is an Int super type unit that will be boosting Int, Cerebral and Powerhouse characters, and she will also introduce a new type of poison in the game. With her special, she will be able to provide amazing utility for paralysis and poison, and also of course boost your damage, especially if the enemy does not have poison immunity. A new poison slot debuff will also be introduced and of course Reiju completely counters it. Vivi on the other hand is a strength, free spirit and cerebral boosting unit, and for her captain ability she will be able to remove 10 turns of silence, something that is always very good in my opinion, and I always love legends that do that. I find them very useful. Her special and her super type special, because she is a strength super type unit, provide very good damage boosting for multiple turns as well, and the orb manipulation she provides is top notch. For the rare recruits, I think Betty is decent but nothing extremely special. She can provide a chain boost for 3 turns, a slight orb manipulation, and also reduce 5 turns of despair and chain lock, but Koala on the other hand is very strong because she can remove attack down and bind for 5 turns, while also making it possible to boost fighter and free spirit characters' color affinity in 2 different stages. All of the bats here, legends and rare recruits, have very decent supports. And the same exact thing goes for the Treasure Map limited rare recruits, Hina, Makino and Tasigi. Each of them, if attached to the correct unit, can remove either 2 turns of threshold, increased defense or damage reduction, which is very good. For their specials, they all remove 2 debuffs by 5 turns and then either boost your damage or manipulate your slots. These Treasure Map rare recruits are actually very good, so for this specific batch, because we know the debut Sugo Fest of Reiju and Vivi won't be that good, and it actually won't even have a discounted multi, I would advise you that if you like these new units, Reiju and Vivi, or even the rest of them, you definitely should consider skipping the debut Sugo and pulling in the Treasure Map Sugo Fest instead, so you can also have a chance of acquiring one of the Treasure Map rare recruits. Of course, if you do not care about the units, it's not really your cup of tea, you do not like the characters, and you are also low on gems, you can definitely skip every Sugo that has anything to do with this specific batch. The grade I would give this batch is an A, very solid batch. I like Vivi, I believe she can be a very strong sub and a very strong captain, and I feel the same about Reiju, she can even activate her special automatically if you get poisoned by the enemy. The thing with Reiju though is that if the enemy has full immunity, Reiju can still provide a good amount of boosting for multiple turns like Vivi, but then her full value decreases because she cannot poison the full immunity enemy. Still a good character, but I think more situational than Vivi. Next up we have Pirate Rumble V2 Kizaru and also limited Pirate Rumble rare recruit Moria. Since he's a Pirate Rumble legend in my opinion, and of course if you are not playing Pirate Rumble, then it's not that worth to pull in Pirate Rumble Sugo Fests in general until multiple Pirate Rumble legends are released, and you have way better chances of getting something new, while maybe also boosting your Pirate Rumble team. Kizaru is only the second Pirate Rumble legend after V12. He is arriving at the game at a point where most people should be saving for a big New Year's Super Sugo Fest celebration, and then, in my opinion, he is also kind of underwhelming. He boosts strength decks and Q characters just like V3 Kuzan and V3 Akainu. But as a captain, he is worse than them, at least in my opinion, because he does not provide something special. V3 Akainu provides extra matching slots. Kuzan does the same, while also being a chain boosting captain. And then you have Kizaru that the only thing he does other than his boosting in his captain ability is reducing specials at the start of the quest. If he was reducing specials every time another special was activated, that would be infinitely better and would have made him more interesting. As a sub though, he is way better. He actually reduces special cooldowns by 1 turn, but only 1 turn, which I also find underwhelming. He reduces silence by 10 turns, which is awesome. He boosts color affinity of strength, dex and Q, and also gives a chain boost by 1.4 times. Very simple and strong special, but at the same time lackluster just for the special cooldown reduction part. Now, he also has a great support and he's a good Pirate Rumble unit, mainly revolving himself around boosting dex teams, doing some damage to enemy characters and also debuffing the Q ones. As for Moria, if you do not play Pirate Rumble, you should not care. If you are, you probably know more things than me because I am not too big on Pirate Rumble. He is also decent with dex teams, goes well with Kizaru, and he is also debuffing Q teams. But now, how good will dex teams be in the future, because Global is keeping so much in so little time, I am not certain. My grade for this batch is definitely a B, because it is not worth to pull in Kizaru's debut at all, except if you are very enthusiastic about him in Pirate Rumble. But even then, you can wait for the next Pirate Rumble Sugo, which won't even take that long because of the sync and all that, and then you will have another Pirate Rumble legend and also new characters to aim for, so you can strengthen your PvP teams. Next up, we will talk about some Kizuna limited rare recruits, starting with Bon Clay, who is actually very good because he completely resists Special Bind as a sub, and then removes Special Bind, Threshold and Resilience by 6 turns, which is very strong. But on top of that, he also provides a color affinity boost for fighter and free spirit units. Very good character with also a very decent support. The next two units got introduced together, not with Bon Clay, Buggy and Kuro, both of them of course limited rare recruits specified for Kizuna Sugo Fests, and Buggy reduces special cooldown by 1 turn and then reduces threshold and defense up by 5 turns, while also giving an orb amplification. Kuro on the other hand reduces attack down by 5 turns, makes block and badly matching slots into matching, and he gives a boost to your color affinity. These two units do not have good supports, but they do have good specials. All three of these units actually do, and that's why I will give them an A. I do not think you should be pulling in the Sugo Fest though, especially if you're not missing Toki or another Kizuna legend, of course because they will keep reappearing in Kizuna Sugo Fests. Next up, we have V3 Lucci and the CP0 Batch, which of course means that we also have a rare recruit Kaku and a rare recruit Stussy. V3 Lucci is a Dex super type unit that boosts Dex, Powerhouse and Fighter units, and the special thing about his captain ability is that for each perfect you hit, he will provide healing at the end of the turn. He has a very straightforward, simple, but also very strong special. He completely removes defense up, he boosts base attack of Dex, Powerhouse and Fighters, and he also boosts their orbs by 2.5 times. You can gain access to his super type special after activating his special, and then you can increase that orb boost even more. He also has a very strong support of reducing defense up, but can only be attached to Kaku and Stussy. The rare recruits totally go in sync with their captain because they are simple yet effective. Kaku reduces bind and attack down by 5 turns, and then he gives you extra boosting, or he increases already existing boosting effects. Stussy reduces percent damage reduction and threshold by 5 turns, and just like Kaku, either gives you a boost or increases an already existing one. Both of them have a very decent support but can only be attached to Rob Lucci. To put it simply, not a lot of people will pull for them, and it makes absolute sense with the New Year Sugofest looming but also all of the Rust content. I do not think their Sugofest will be anything special at all, and personally I won't even consider pulling for them, but I still have to give them an A. Yes, their debut Sugofest might not be good, this might not be the best time to pull for them specifically, but if you get them down the line, they are very decent characters. They might be simple and not bring anything unique to the table, but they are still a very decent Dex batch. I think that is the best way to summarize them. Next up, we have another Pirate Rumble batch, with the headline this time being Pirate Rumble Kuma, and technically Kuma's batch is only Arlong as a limited rare recruit, but the other Rumble units also released in different Sugofests, but because of the sync, we may get them either all in one or just closer together than the Japanese version did. Arlong is meant to be working with Kuma. Kobe can also work with Kuma, I think, because he is strength, but the other two, because they are a completely different color, they do not really synergize well with Kuma. Another important thing is that we are not certain if all of these units arrive this year. This is the first batch that I saw in the video that we may see coming to Global next year, probably sometime in January. Now about Kuma, if you are wondering, he's a pretty disappointing legend, let's get that straight out of the way, and let me tell you why he's disappointing. He only boosts strength units. If you miss a perfect, he boosts them for less, and he can also do damage based on the damage taken in the previous turn, both with his special and captain ability, which is not that good for stalling. The best thing about Kuma, in my opinion, is that he makes the crew immune to blow away, and he has a decent support. These are the good things about him, everything else is extremely mediocre. His special also gives a color affinity boost, but only for strength units. And I can see some people thinking, isn't he a good booster for mono strength teams? And yeah, he can be decent there, but if you think of how hard it is to get a Pirate Rumble legend, it's not really worth to specifically pull for him just for that. I will give this batch a B as well, because I said B will be the lower one I will give, but Kuma is definitely worse than V2 Kizaru in non-PvP play. Now in Pirate Rumble, Kuma is a decent unit, and I guess the same goes for everyone else, depending on what you have as your main team there. Moving on, we have the disguised Straw Hats. All of them are limited rare recruits, and specifically Zoro, Sanji, Nami and Brook are treasure map rare recruits, and then Robin, Frankie and Usopp with Chopper are all Kizuna rare recruits. All of them have a decent enough special and a good support, so let's quickly run through them. Zoro reduces despair and paralysis by 5 turns, enemy barrier by 1 and boosts orbs for all characters by 2. He supports Luffy and Kinemon and removes despair and enemy barrier by 1 turn. Sanji changes RCV, TND, and bomb slots into matching and locks them for 2 turns. He reduces resilience by 5 and poison completely, while boosting attack for 3 turns. He supports Nami and Kinemon, and when you are inflicted with burn or bind, he recovers 5000 HP. Nami reduces special cooldown of everyone by 1, reduces bind, silence and burn by 5, and then recovers some HP at the end of each turn for 3 turns. She supports Sanji and Kinemon, and when the supported character uses a special, she reduces enemies' resilience by 1 while also locking slots. Brook cuts HP, changes block and badly matching into matching, gives you a 90% damage reduction for 2 turns and boosts color affinity for 2 turns. He supports Frankie and Kinemon, and when the supported character uses their special, he reduces damage received by 40%, and he also changes the supported character's adjacent orbs into matching. Moving on to the Kizuna ones now, Robin reduces threshold and paralysis for 5 turns, while also giving an orb boost, and then she can also reduce damage received from specific types. She supports Chopper and Kinemon, and once per an adventure when the supported character uses the special, she reduces threshold and also gives an orb boost to the supported character. Franky reduces damage reduction and attack down for 5 turns, and then he locks orbs and also boosts attack. He supports Usopp and Kinemon, and when the supported character uses their special, he reduces attack down by 1 turn and boosts attack of the supported character. Finally, Chopper and Usopp reduce increased defense and resilience by 5, they change some slots to matching, and they boost your chain. They support Robin and Kinemon, and when the enemy gains a defense up or a resilience buff, they reduce it by 1 turn. My grade here will be an A because they are all decent characters, and hopefully, because their treasure map is now long gone, we get them in a pretty decent Sugo Fest with more treasure map rare recruits as well. Or Kizuna rare recruits for Robin, Franky, Usopp and Chopper. Next up we have the Halloween Girls Batch with Q Super Type Boa Hancock, Int Super Type Perona, and their 2 rare recruits Q Bonnie and Int Shirahoshi. Boa boosts Q Shooter and Free Spirit characters, while also having the unique ability of the Mero Mero power, of course delaying enemies until you hit them a specific amount of times. Similarly to, of course, Summer Boa Hancock, the V3 Psy version. With her special, she can reduce silence and attack down for 6 turns, very good utility, and she can also boost the base attack of Q Shooter and Free Spirit, while also giving a chain lock. Her super type increases the amount of hits needed to break an enemy out of the Mero Mero state, which is a pretty interesting super type, making this Halloween Boa a pretty interesting character, especially for stalling different quests. Although I have to admit I do not think she is extremely strong. Perona though is even more unique and probably even stronger. She boosts Int, Shooter and Free Spirit characters, and also has a built-in conditional attack boost in her captain ability, which is a first for One Piece Treasure Cruise. Like Boa has the Mero Mero state, Perona has the negative state, and she also has a way to apply it to the enemy even through immunity. First of all, her special changes badly matching and most of the special slots like empty, block, bomb and so on and so forth into matching. And on top of that, she can also actually give many conditional attack boosts depending on what the enemy has applied to him. She can provide a conditional attack boost against delayed enemies inflicted with negative, enemies that have reduced defense, or enemies that are inflicted by a lot of types of poison. That conditional attack boost will be applied for 3 turns, and she can also lock the chain for 3 turns as well. If you already have a chain lock though, so for example if you use her along with Halloween Boa, then she will just increase the already existing chain lock. I mentioned before that she can actually bypass immunity, and that happens if you have less than 80% HP, or if you use her special twice and access her super type. For the rare recruits, Bonnie can actually decrease the enemy's defense, remove both Despair and Bind for 5 turns, and also give you healing. But if you have a binded unit or multiple units, when you activate Bonnie, then she can also boost attack for Free Spirit and Fighters. If you do not have a binded unit, she will boost attack anyway, but for way less. Shirahoshi on the other hand has some orb utility and then can reduce burn and paralysis for 5 turns, while also boosting orbs for Free Spirit and Strikers. I will also grade this batch with an A. I believe that the uniqueness of Perona is very nice to see, and I also like Bonnie a lot. Shirahoshi can be decent as well, providing you do not have block slots though. But Boa I do believe is decent. I do not think she will be game changing with the Mero Mero state, since it already mainly exists in game, but she can totally be helpful, not only as captain, but also as a sub. Next up we have Halloween treasure map Koala and her bats. Koala is the second treasure map legend after Mugiwara 56 Sanji, and she is also a Dex Super Type 1. She boosts attack of Dex, Fighter and Free Spirit, makes some slots beneficial, reduces damage, and also restores special cooldowns by 10 turns, which are all pretty fine for a captain ability. Her special though reduces counter heal duration by 10 turns, which I guess is fine but won't be used a lot, and then it revolves around HP, probably way too much. It is definitely manageable because she allows you to overheal and gives you 30,000 HP of healing, but your HP needs to be above 99% to get the maximum color affinity boost she provides, and then if your maximum HP is below 40,000 when you activate a special, she boosts HP more. Even her super type ability revolves around HP. And other than the color affinity boost, she does not give you much more. She can definitely be usable, but she can also be very niche or unnecessary in a lot of different teams. I can definitely say that she reminds me of Halloween Shanks. Decent units on paper can definitely find uses if the content is right, but then again they won't be widely used, or not a lot of people will want to pull for them. Other than Koala, we also get two treasure map rare recruits. Karasu is the first one, and he removes Bind, Paralysis, Chainlock and Threshold by 5 turns, while also giving you matching slots if you have block ones. And then Morley, who reduces Despair, Attack Down, Chain Coefficient Reduction and % damage reduction, while making type slots matching. So they do quite a lot of utility things, which is nice, and they have a decent support. But if Koala is the only treasure map unit that is introduced along with these two, the Sugofest will probably not be worth it. B is for sure the grade I will give this batch. Next up we move to the first ever super class batch. That's right, not super type, super class, meaning they will be boosting their class instead of their typing. And we have Doflamingo and Katakuri, specifically V3 Dofi, V4 Kata. Let's begin with Doflamingo though. He boosts attack of Driven of course, by 5 times. He also boosts the rest of the characters, but by 3.75, which is not incredible as an attack boost, but you can still use other classes with him, which is awesome. He makes Dex and Q orbs beneficial for Driven, and he reduces Silence by 10 turns as captain, which is awesome. As I said in the Summer Vivi section, great captain effect, I love having these types of units. For his special, he's very good. He deals some damage, not incredible. He turns all slots into matching, which is awesome. And if you have an attack boost or an orb boost, he will boost base attack of Driven and give you a chain boost. But if you do not have an attack and an orb boost, he will actually give you both, and then also recover some HP. Very strong special, that is for sure, but unfortunately his super type is not as strong. He does some damage and reduces special cooldown, which can be clutch in some situations, but won't be extremely useful in every piece of content. For Katakuri now, he will be a powerhouse superclass unit, and he will be boosting the rest of the characters as well by 3.75 just like Dofi. The main class by 5 times. He will also be increasing the chances of getting matching slots and will be recovering 50% of the damage taken in the previous stage when entering the new stage. No real utility in his captain ability, but it is still a very decent one, just simpler and I would say worse than Doflamingo's. But that also depends on the content. Now for his special, he cuts some HP, nothing amazing. He boosts base attack of Powerhouse, and he also amplifies orbs for Powerhouse based on the damage taken. If your crew already has an orb boost, he will boost attack of Powerhouse characters instead. Another very strong special that is for certain, but unlike Doflamingo, Katakuri will just give you an orb boost or an attack boost, and he cannot manipulate slots. Or that I thought until I read his superclass special, which allows you to extend an orb boost for 1 turn, and then he will change all orbs into matching. So he does get the slot manipulation, but in his super special, and that means that Doflamingo can activate it even as a sub, but Katakuri needs to be captain and you need to fulfill the super special criteria. For the Batch rare recruits, the strength driven one will be Caesar, who will poison all enemies and reduce despair and chain lock for 5 turns, and if your captain is driven, will set the chain boundaries from 2 to 35, which is awesome combined of course with Doflamingo's chain boost. On the other side we have the Q rare recruit as well, Hoddy Jones, who will be reducing bind by 5 turns, changing all orbs including block into matching for driven and powerhouse only, and then also boosting attack of driven and powerhouse. I will be giving this batch the first S of the video. I am a big fan of both Caesar and Doflamingo. Katakuri is definitely strong and Hoddy is decent, but in my opinion Doflamingo is better than Katakuri. Unfortunately we still haven't seen a super good Katakuri in the game, but this one is a very good one for powerhouse characters, that is 100% certain. And of course, because they are the first ever of this specific superclass typing, a new type of unit in One Piece Treasure Cruise, it makes sense for them to be very strong at what they do and what they were introduced to do. Next up, and for the final batch of this video, we have superclass treasure map Crocodile, another treasure map legend just like the Koala we saw before. But is he way better or not? Let's see. First of all, he is a cerebral superclass unit, meaning he boosts cerebrals by 5 times and the rest of the characters by 3.75 times. And funny thing, he also has HP restrictions just like Koala, but he provides way more stuff in my opinion. Because integrated in his captain ability, if HP is above 70% at the start of the stage, cuts current HP of all enemies by 10% at the start of every stage. If HP is above 70% at the start of the turn, then the cerebral characters who attack with the type advantage will gain a matching slot after attacking, which is simply awesome. Finally, if HP is below 50% at the start of the turn, he recovers 2000 HP at the end of each turn and reduces damage received by 20%. So you can see that there are some HP thresholds that unfortunately won't provide anything to you, and that threshold is between 50 and 70%. It should be manageable though by either taking damage or healing with some kind of special or even auto heal sockets. For his special now, he will reduce special cooldown of cerebral characters, he will boost attack, and he will also give you chain boundaries for either 3 or 2 turns based on your HP. That is a very good special. Chain boundaries become progressively better in One Piece Treasure Cruise, especially when we get very strong chain boost units like the Doflamingo we saw before. And do not forget, Crocodile is cerebral, but he is also a driven character. So I think he can be paired up with a double Doflamingo captain, where Dofi will actually provide the attack or boost and chain boost, and then Crocodile as a sub will provide the chain boundaries. For his super special, he actually cuts the current HP of all enemies by 10%, changes empty block, bomb, RCV and G into matching slots, and then he removes the HP conditions from his abilities. And in my opinion, that is extremely nice to see. Now he will also be paired up with 2 treasure map limited rare recruits, with the first one being Dex NL. He will reduce bind by 3 turns, percent damage reduction and threshold by 5, and he will give a color affinity to cerebral and striker units. We also have Q Lucci. He is Q and he will do some damage to all enemies that will ignore damage negating abilities and barriers. He reduces burn and attack down by 5 turns and gives you an ore boost for cerebral and powerhouse units. Both very good rare recruits. I think it is kind of unfortunate that they are treasure map limited rare recruits, but at the same time, because of the sync in global, this Sugofest might be decent, especially if Bandai decides to combine the Koala Batch with the treasure map Crocodile Batch. This batch though will definitely take an S grade from me. And there you have it, these are the majority of the units that we expect before the sync or a bit after, so both versions can start getting units at the same time. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, which took a long time to make. Hopefully though it was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.